All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. I've got an action-packed show for you today. This is going to be the biggest panel that we've ever had on the Tennessee Brando Show, and I'm really excited about it. So we're going to get right down to it. But before we do, I just want to always remind everybody that after today's show, 12:45 p.m. Eastern, we will be going over on Patreon for Backstage with Brando. And today I'm going to be talking about my Mount Rushmore of 1960s solo artists. So for you patrons want to jump over there, we'll talk about some 1960s music. One thing about the 1960s was it definitely produced a whole lot of great protest music. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There's been more and more. I think I've seen more protests since Trump took office than we've seen in a long time. I know I've been to more than I've been to in years. And I just think it's very important that people continues to stand up and speak out and let their voices be heard, because we've got one of the most radical regimes we've ever seen. And we just have to continue to stand up and speak out against it. So I'm going to be bringing on, like I said, a panel of guests to talk about all this. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to first bring on here Jeremy Baker from the Voice of Reason podcast. Jeremy, how's it going, man?
What's up, man? I just realized I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm not actually running my podcast. What's going on, man? I want to thank you for doing this for us.
Oh, man, absolutely.
You've been a supporter of ours since the beginning. Since even before Mike and I were a podcast, you were a supporter of ours. So
yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, we've come a long way. Thanks to your help. So we appreciate all of it.
And when you reached out to me about this, I was really excited. And like I said, this is the biggest panel I've ever had. So if you want to do the honors and bring on the guest, we'll talk with everybody and we'll get the word out about this protest you guys are doing.
Nice. I believe returning to the show, we have a retired educator and badass activist, Liz McIntyre from Stop Moms for Liberty. What's going on, Liz? We have Diana Patton with Defense of Democracy. Then we also have Jasmine Johnson, who is the co-creator or co-founder of FAFO, or FightAgainstFascism.org. Excellent name. I'm mad I didn't think of that myself. And then is Tom with us now too? He is the originator of anti-fascist commander. Tom Seidel, combat vet. He is the reason we are all here. This is his baby, and honestly, Mike and I we're proud to be part of it, and we're just honored to be part of it. And we're going to be there. We're going to be in DC. Thanks to everybody's support. I just wanted to announce real quick that we did meet our fundraising goal for the show. That helps us that Mike and I get all our stuff down too, because he's in New York, I'm in Pennsylvania, so both of us got to get down, and we're going to stay a couple nights. We want to try and go to the Smithsonian to document whatever's left of it before they tear it apart. And we're going to try and do a live stream podcast on location for the protest itself. So it should be a lot of fun. And we couldn't have done it without the support of all of you. So we really appreciate it.
That is really awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And I hope I could be there. I'm not sure yet, but we was talking before the show goes on. I would love to come and be part of that one, because
that would be crazy cool.
It would be. So yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So I've had Liz on the show before. The people loved you when you were on, and so I'm really excited to see. And how's things going for you?
Really well, Bren. Thank you so much for having us. This is an incredibly important event that we're going to talk a little bit about today. Of all of the groups of Americans, hands off our veterans. And that's what we will be sharing today and then in the event itself. So thank you.
Awesome. And what's the date on this event again? Because I want to put this in the comment section to make sure people sees it.
Sure. April 30th.
April 30th.
And it's from 11 to 4 on the Mall in DC.
Awesome.
Yep. And my connection, if anyone's questioning that, is we are actually seeing the erasure of U.S. history related to our military. And that is totally unacceptable. Our children need to be taught complete history. And we're seeing actions that we just can't stay quiet about.
Yeah, we really are. And I know you're part of the Stop Moms for Liberty, and I love that name. I remember when I had you on the show before, you said that, you questioned that name at first, and then it was like, no, we have to call it that. And, there's so much going on right now. I've never seen, and anyone feel free to jump in when you want to here, but I've just never seen, I don't think I realized just how fragile our democracy truly was, because I've never seen stuff unravel this fast. Like where where we're at right now in the Trump
Yeah.
administration, I thought this might be where we would be like in the third year, 3.5 years in or something. But we're not even 3 months hardly, and it's like it's already unraveled to this level. So it's pretty disturbing, is it not?
I wish people would stop calling it. We're about to have a constitutional crisis.
We already
are in
We're in-
a
actually
constitutional
having
crisis.
Yes.
And I think that that's the biggest issue. Yeah, Brando, just to comment on what you were talking about, and I think I've talked about it amongst our, the group is, a lot of people just got used to the status quo, and I don't think that they realized day to day that things were happening, or maybe they just didn't care, because a lot of the issues I'm seeing are, oh, I didn't care until it affected me. And while that is something that can be, deprogrammed and relearned, empathy is very important. And what we're trying to do with this program is honestly just get everybody together and say enough is enough. The nation is under attack. They have fired over 80,000 VA healthcare workers, a system that was already struggling to help the veterans that have, risked their lives or given their lives to protect us from the very things that are now happening on our soil. So we want to get people together and have them come together and hear about the stories from all the marginalized groups. So you'll be hearing from Tuskegee Airmen. We will also have some representation from the 442 Regiment, which is the most decorated Japanese regiment in U.S. history. We'll also be hearing about the internment camps. Diana Patton will be speaking as well, and we'll have many others. And then I think the one thing we didn't lead with was the fact that our special guest MC is Robbie Roadsteamer, and I know people are very excited about that.
That's really awesome, and I'm so glad to hear y'all bringing this together. There's more and more happening around the country. I mean, we're having protests like once or twice a month. I'm seeing them all the time now, and it's just it's crazy to me that we ended up. But I'm seeing the comments start rolling in saying the crisis is here. It's not already. It's not. We're not on the brink of it. It's here right now.
I just saw a comment asking about the Navajo code talkers. We are trying to reach out to the Navajo nations to try to get them to come along with the Seneca nations, and I really hope that I know the trust isn't there for white people asking the First Nations to come and do something, but we really hope they'll come and answer our call to come and speak about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And, one thing that I've learned from going out to these protests is, I've talked to so many people and from all walks of life. And the one thing that's really always got me is when I'm talking with people who are, say, up in their 60s or 70s, and they're talking about how that they were protesting back in the 60s and 70s. It's something that's not went away. We're still having to protest. And that's what I always tell people is that, I think our democracy's been under attack from day one, and we've always had to be out there protesting and speaking out against it. There's I've talked to so many people who, I talked to a guy when I was in Sacramento, and the guy was like, man, I was back in the 60s with my signs, doing the same thing. And he said, I really thought that by the time we got to 2025, we'd be in a much better place. He said, but here we are. And I feel like we're going back further. So yeah,
we could have been. We could have such a better place. Oh my God. Just imagine what we could be accomplishing right now.
I'll tell you what, I'm very tired, and doing this for 15 years, I'm tired. I'm a transgender disabled veteran. I've been fighting this stuff for 15 years. I'm tired. Us transgender veterans, we don't have bone spurs. We have the courage to serve and go forward. We don't have a Cheeto colored spine, and we're going to fight and keep fighting, and we're not going to allow them to discharge us.
Yeah, there's so many, I've talked to so many people out there at these protests along the way, and from so many walks of life. And it's, I think that what I tried to say when I went out to LA to speak was that I feel like this is one of those times where it's really not about red states and blue states anymore. It's about the United States, and it's about all of us just coming together. We may not agree on every single thing, and I try to drive this point home. It's like, I'm sure that all of us here would have disagreements amongst ourselves about certain issues, but it's one of those things where the main focus right now is saving our democracy from such a radical regime.
I agree. I think if I could just because I live in a very small city in the middle of Pennsylvania, a very Trump heavy area. And if anything, I think this hopefully offers some comfort that people are fighting back, because the 2 months ago, nobody in my town was revolting. There was Trump flags everywhere, Trump signs everywhere. And now, just a short time later, like you said, this isn't happening 3.5 years into his term. It's literally happening 3 months into his term. People in my town are in the streets. We had a 300-400 people the other day protesting in a very small city in Pennsylvania. I mean, it has reached the rural areas that did vote overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. And I guarantee half the people in that crowd voted for him. And there were definitely Trump supporters, people that voted for Donald Trump 3 times were in that crowd. You know what I mean? And now they're upset because this isn't even what they voted for. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's reaching everywhere. The protests are.
it really is. And one thing that I found interesting in my neck of the woods that I thought was really odd is I made videos about it. I think I might have even talked to you about it when we were on a show together, how that I wasn't seeing as many Trump flags, which kind of gave me a little bit of hope. It didn't look like many people. But what's funny, man, is once the election was over, I saw the flags come out. It was like almost like they were in hiding. So it was almost as though they were ashamed of themselves. And then when they won, it was like, oh, we can flex now.
Yep.
But then I'm seeing so many people now, though. It's like I'm surprised at how many people now are just kind of like, it's just crickets on certain things. When you talk about it, they're just going silent, because I think, how can they defend it?
Yeah, real quick, I'll just add this. There was a guy there's one street I drive all the time to go to my buddy's house. There was a guy he's had a Trump flag in his yard for 10 years at least. Ever since the beginning, this guy was a Trump supporter. He went out of his way to buy a Trump store, and he bought like this Trump wrapped fake NASCAR shell from a junkyard and put it in front of the Trump store. That guy doesn't even have any Trump. The Trump store is gone. There's still more flags in front of the guy's house. So yeah, I guarantee a lot of people are very upset, and they don't want to admit it, though. They don't want to admit they made that mistake, I think, is why they're being so quiet.
I think that too is why these protests are so important. Is I think it gives us a chance to build a community, but it also gives people a chance to see, hey, there's people speaking out about this, and maybe it would encourage more people to speak up. That's one of my hopes, is that these kind of protests, even the ones that voted for him 3 times, maybe when they begin to see what's happening and realize, hey, my fellow Americans are upset about this, it's okay to speak out about it. I don't know. We have saw some people walk away over the years.
Big shifts in the veteran community is the attack on Arlington Cemetery Registry of women and marginalized people being removed from the registry. That can't stand. I mean, it took almost 30 years just to get women on that registry and buried at Arlington Cemetery, and they have removed it.
That's insane.
That truly is insane.
That's the people who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
That's the stuff that pisses me off.
Yeah. I think that worries all of us. That's just not acceptable. The nice thing about our event is it's really as much a rally as it is a protest, right? Mm-hmm. So we're bringing people to DC, and we're going to share information. So, quote unquote, teaching folks in the attending area about some of the pieces of history that have not been on the front burner for quite some time. There are things that people simply don't know about. And the powers that be in offices now think that it's okay to just wipe some of that off the face of the earth so that we don't have to show any diversity. But in truth, the military has always been extremely diverse, extremely accepting, and we don't want a government that is not the same. We don't want a government that decides who is, valid, who has historical merit. No, everyone that has served needs to be honored. And so we plan to do that on that day. We've got videos coming in from across the country of veterans just announcing that, hey, I'm a veteran. Some saying I won't be erased. And it's just a really important time for us to speak up, and we're doing it in a very positive way. with a couple of different pieces of that too that somebody else can maybe speak to.
Yes,
during that, it's really a call to action. It's not just going out and protesting.
one of the things most people don't realize is that the military has always led the way. We led the way with desegregation. We led the way with accepting LGBT people. We led the way with women serving. If society changes first, we need to have the military usually leads the way in that change. And we can't have a good, strong military without first a good, strong public education. And we can't have it without diversity. Diversity of thought helps our military to be the power that it is.
Yeah, and I never, as we're sitting here having this conversation, I have to be honest. I was naive when I was younger. I really thought we would be in a different place today. I thought we would have made so much more progress, and I can't believe, honestly, that we're still having to have this conversation in 2025, and that they're working so hard to erase everything, and they're just doing it so blatantly. It's not even.
Oh yeah, there's no more dog whistle. It's
Yeah.
gone. That's why it goes to your first point. You thought that they would do a slow roll. No, full steam ahead. Project 2025 has been in the works for decades.
Oh yeah.
So I think that because people, especially the people that line the pockets of Trump's administration and the people that he's advocating to put in office to maintain that control all over this country, I think that they are used to instant gratification. So it didn't matter what the repercussions were because they didn't think about them because it didn't pertain to them, which is why we're seeing in real time people being like, hey, well, wait a minute, you said you were going to do this. And I am happy to see people understanding that, hey, maybe the person I voted for really doesn't care about anybody. And because I'm past the point of, I think going back and forth with people about who's right, who's wrong, on a this or that on a bipartisan level is we're past that. This is about humanity. We need to sit down and say, this is not what democracy looks like.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know, I feel like the Constitution is no longer a thing with this current administration, and that's what needs to be upheld.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've had several conversations. I've even seen comments online, people being upset about seeing rallies and protests. And I had to remind them, I said, you can be upset about it, but need I remind you that this is a part of our First Amendment rights? Maybe you just don't feel that they're, everybody here is entitled to that. And I could tell that, there were people that resonated and there were other people who genuinely just, they drank the Kool-Aid. So.
Yeah, and so what I started to say was that so many people out there, it's sad that it works this way, but it has to affect them before they care. There's so many people that I think it's one of the hardest things I feel like about messaging from our side. It's the way that they go about messaging, in the sense that if you look at, take Joe Rogan's podcast, for example. They do it under this guise of like, hey, we're just a bunch of comedians, we're just a bunch of bros, we're just a bunch of UFC fans sitting around shooting the shit, and they sit there and they have their conversation and pump out all sorts of misinformation while they're doing it, stuff that's not even true. But they do it in a way that's relatable to the dude down at the loading dock. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, when people like us sits down, we're talking about the issues at hand and we're passionate about it. We're trying to bring attention to them, and we just sound like a bunch of crazy people ranting politics. You know what I mean? and we do. And so it's hard to get over that hump. But like Jasmine was saying, there's so many groups of people out there that are feeling this and are speaking up, and maybe when it begins to affect other people, maybe they will realize why we're speaking up and rallying and protesting.
Brendo, we have 2 calls of action that we're that's part of our rally. If Jasmine wants to speak about it.
Oh yeah, sure. So well, I can talk about the one that we have online on fightagainstfascism.org. We obviously want everybody to come and attend. You can actually register for the event if you go to our website and click on the Give Butter icon at the absolute very bottom. That is also a donation link, but there's also a button that says register here, and you can register yourself and your friends to come with it. However, being that this event is on a Wednesday, we understand that some people may not be able to come. We have a sister action. That is our We Love Our VA campaign, and we're simply asking you to do that. take your friends, your family, stand on a sidewalk outside of the local VA. Please do not obstruct any entrance ways. Want to make sure people can still get in and out. And you're going to take your positive signs and you'll take photos and videos and share those images and things with us via that hashtag, We Love Our VA. And in fact, if you search that hashtag, We Love Our VA on any social media platform, all of our material should come up. And I want to speak about the second one. I think that this is something that we've been working on, getting ready to kind of talk about publicly. So I would like for you to kind of take point on that.
Sure. A bunch of us organizations that are involved with a lot of these protests, a lot of veterans organizations, received an email from a veteran who wants to get a petition signed to send to the United Nations to charge this administration with crimes against humanity. So that petition will be launched at our rally, and we'll have more information about it once we have everything finalized.
Awesome. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this event is taking place April 30th. And Liz, what was the time on that one more time?
11 till 4, and our programming will start around noon.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate all of you for being here. I've got a few more minutes I can go, and I'll let it go a little bit longer because I think we're having a great conversation. And if there's anything else, I know we've got Tom here. I don't know if he's able to talk yet.
I'm able to talk now. I wanted to touch on the Constitution stuff. Like,
awesome.
People don't understand that the Constitution was written for white cis men. It wasn't really written for everybody. And we amend the Constitution to make it fit for everybody else. Those amendments can be taken away at any time, and we're seeing it in real time. And we have to really acknowledge that. We have to, work on our Constitution. We have to work on, fixing our political system because it is broken. And Donald Trump has found every loophole to make sure that those loopholes can be, worked. And we have to do something about it. We have to do something about how he's working his way through dismantling our military, dismantling our history, and we have to really have to take light to everything that's going on, because as quick as he's doing it now, wait until it's gonna wait till a year later what it's gonna look like. It's only been a couple months.
We can't wait.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this comment up on the screen because I saw it, and it does me too. It blows my mind. This person says it blows my mind that any veteran would support the GOP, and it also blows my mind that the GOP has took such a. I mean, they were always the party of the military, and now they took this radical shift. How did anyone roll with that?
Let me add something even more radical, because Brando, that I have a very active imagination. But what happens when the administration no longer allows marginalized communities to even serve, and they only recruit racist white people that are loyal to Donald Trump and that voted for him?
It's happening now. He just,
what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Over 92,000 veterans have been deported since his first term. Since his first term, 92,000 plus veterans have been deported.
Yeah. So what happens to the Constitution and the UCMJ when
and you mentioned Republicans like to tout that they're pro-military, but they're anti-veteran and always have been. Anytime there's been cuts to veterans benefits, veterans health care, or anything having to do with taking care of that promise we made to our veterans, has always been under the GOP control. Anytime they get power, that's one of the places they cut.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's a great point. It's so true. They're pro-life till the child gets here. It's like, they're pro-military till they become a veteran. It's just,
I wouldn't even say they're pro-military. They're pro-military industrial complex. They want money going to research and development to make unaliving people easier and faster without putting they don't even really care if they put boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people making a whole heck of a lot of money off of the military. And they're doing so by their, government sponsored contracts. And that can't be ignored. That is absolute corruption. If you look at just Elon Musk himself, he's got billions of dollars coming from the US government. And yet we've seen that he's been given the power to take away some of the things that we have, while he is fundamentally benefiting from this current administration.
You know,
Right.
As a disabled veteran who's on SSD and a military pension, that might disappear any day. They're talking about how we have to show up to the Social Security office to prove who we are, and I have problems walking. They want to reduce military pensions or get rid of military disability. Disgusting. And then when they froze the grant system, that stopped the veterans homeless program. So veterans couldn't get homes. And now many of us are looking at possibly being homeless. I know I am.
Yeah, and I think there's so many people out there, they'll say, "Well, I can't believe Elon's going after this wasteful spending. I can't believe that you're not okay with that." And I'm like, I think all of us are against wasteful spending. We're all against that. It's the way they've went about it, and the people that it's affecting. And I've seen people and know people personally that have lost their jobs because of this, and some of them are confused as to how it happened. And I know that people like us were trying to sound the alarm for so long. I remember I printed out Project 2025. I still got it laying over there. It's a big stack of paper, and I was going through with a highlighter, highlighting it and doing videos and trying to bring it to people's attention. And like Jasmine said, it's been something that they were going to put the hammer down the minute they came through the door, and we knew that. I really didn't think it would be this fast, but they were serious. And
well, to be clear though, they're Elon Musk isn't going after wasteful spending. He's going after the departments of our government that are investigating him.
Exactly.
He's trying to get more money. That's all that's happening with Elon Musk.
When Donald Trump got elected, me and Diana were talking, and she was getting a lot of calls from folks that were within her community. And I've done a little research. It's not 22 a day anymore. It's almost like 22 an hour. Veterans are taking their lives, by the second.
Yeah.
And by them, taking away, VA healthcare workers and taking away suicide prevention programs and doing all this stuff, it's setting up veterans for failure. And this can't be allowed. We have to speak up every chance and every moment we can. And we don't have the privilege to be tired. We can't get tired. And
work can be
and when we're tired, somebody else has to pick up the slack. And I I just got out of work. I just did a 12-hour work day, and I'm on here doing what I can, helping get this rally together, with everybody that's working so hard. And I appreciate everybody that's doing this with us. But this is a big deal. History being erased, veterans losing access to healthcare, veterans can't get their VA pensions through their compensation and pension hearings. It went from maybe 6 months for the longest to get an appointment to almost a year. My dental appointment for my cleaning is almost 10 months away from now, and that's only for half of my teeth. So
dated. Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody out there that hasn't followed the whole, what Project 2025 is. I'm convinced personally, because one of the first podcasts Mike and I did was Project 2025. I was obsessed with it. That is a 6-month plan. That is a transition playbook. That 900 pages, that is for 6 months, and we're 3 months in. Okay, we don't have time to slow down or stop or be complacent.
Right.
And I'm also convinced that there's an unpublished version of this, because they were so obviously brazen enough to put this out into the public. This didn't get leaked. This was on their website. Yeah. Mike and I literally downloaded this from their website before they got, it got a lot of publicity. Then they took it down. Okay, so I'm convinced there's parts of this that we don't even know about yet. Okay, so please worry about the things that we don't know. The things we know are absolutely awful. So just think of the things that we don't know, and we don't have time to sit around.
Yeah, Jared, that goes back to the point about our program about, you know, we want to teach people things because you're giving them, you know, a fear for the future, but they also need to take a look at the past. So the writing has always been on the wall. If we look at things that happened over in Poland, because that's where Auschwitz was, not Germany, we are looking at that happening real time with people being deported to El Salvador.
Yeah.
It's here. It's happening, everybody. I don't sound the alarms. There's nothing else. I don't know how to sugarcoat it, but the reason that we're having this event is because I have realized a lot of people haven't gotten the proper public education when it comes to the true history, especially military history. Contributions in World War II were not just done by white cis hetero men. We had the 688, which was an all-black female battalion that handled mail in World War II. We have other groups that people don't know about, like the Buffalo Soldiers or the Harlem Hellfighters. I know I'm moving a little bit farther back in the timeline, but I just think that people knowing that there were other historic groups that didn't look like a white man, or maybe people who look like me who had no idea that there were other people that contributed towards, you know, this nation outside of slavery or some other sort of industrial complex that keeps them enslaved. There are so
Shout
many
out to Harry Tubman.
there are so many things that people don't know, and I think that what actually makes this country great is the diversity. So by taking it away, it would make it very bland, very boring, and honestly, it wouldn't last very long. And that's another thing with this only having 3 months left that kind of terrifies me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a look at how this all started in 1930s Germany. Let's read the playbook. They started with a hospital called the Hirschfeld Institute. They went after the very first hospital that dealt with trans and gay men. The very first books they burned were the library at the Hirschfeld Institute. And why did they go after them? For the kids. You know, because gay men and trans people were going after the kids, which was false. And they took those people, they killed a lot of them, then they threw them in jails. Then they got power. They threw us into concentration camps with pink triangles, went after the other groups. And then after World War II ended, gay people didn't go from, you know, get released from concentration camps. They went back in jail and didn't get released till 1967.
Wow. Yeah, and guys, before we go, I want everybody to get a chance to, you know, get a last word in here, and I really appreciate everyone for coming on. We hit 1,000 likes while we've been sitting here. Someone just let me know that, so that's awesome to hear. But I really appreciate all of you, and I just hope this event comes off well because we need more of them. So before we go, has anybody got anything they want to throw out there?
Yeah, I do, Brandon. We have to talk about the practical side of things, right? I am so inspired looking at how active your commenters, I guess is the right word, in the chat, and you have some very informed people. And so I'll put out a challenge to them as well. You've seen, you know, with Tom's example, here he is working that 12-hour day, and he's still working towards this event. We need to get some more funding for this event. We've developed some to start off with. We've got, you know, some great backers, but we don't have any big financial backers. And our costs are very minimal for this event, but we're hoping that we can get however much people can donate. After watching today, seeing this action, this is a real boots on the ground action that people can support. If they can't be with us in DC, maybe send us a few dollars. That's what we've come down to, because this is truly a movement just of people, started by a veteran who just had an idea. And when, you know, folks like me that deal in education, you know, we all tapped into this. We have veterans on our committee. We have veterans doing a whole heck of a lot of work again for this country. And I really, really hope that people will find it in their hearts to dig deep and help us to spread this messaging by this rally. And of course, the work will continue after that. But this rally is so crucial to kicking off this work of just saying, no, hands off our veterans, hands off our history.
And what is the link? I've had people asking me for the link to where they can donate. There's a lot of people asking that question.
So you can text veteran1 to 53555 or visit fightagainstfascism.org. And there's a donate button on the website in the menu bar and also at the bottom of the website. You also can register there as well if you're going to attend the event. It's a great way to get your community members involved. You can share that Give Butter link as well.
All right. And Tom, you got anything to say before we leave?
Oh, I mean, strength and unity. Believe in yourself. Get out there and take initiative. All these things help. Don't ever think that you can't achieve something, because anything's achievable. You just gotta, get out there and fucking do it. Excuse my language. But I came from a town where I was outnumbered by the opposition, and I brought change to my town. It was a sundown town, and it went from me being by myself to people, collaborating and coming together. And then next thing you know, we have a sign that says no hate in Ocean County. Like, you have to put the work in to get the results. And we can do this. We can get Donald Trump out of office. We can make a better tomorrow for our children, for our friends' children. We can get better people in office to do the job. We just have to believe.
Absolutely.
Real quick, I just want to add, thank you everybody for your support, Brando too. But yeah, we did, unfortunately, we forgot to sign up for the George Soros protest fund. That apparently Elon Musk thinks exists. And if you guys, the only request I have is if you could go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, because we are trying so hard to break through the YouTube ecosystem. But
it's so crazy to me that they want to accuse us of being paid to go protest. It's the arrogance. They could never believe that anyone could oppose what they're saying. They're that arrogant about it.
Yeah.
But again, thanks to everybody. And one more time, someone plug the event, because I've had other people have come in late. And so
Fascism.org. The rally is happening Wednesday, April 30th at 11 a.m. in DC on the National Mall. If you are unable to attend, we are still needing some volunteers with remote help and day of help. So you can reach out again at fightagainstfascism.org. There's a message button at the bottom of the website. I will likely be the one responding to you. Or you can also check out any of our linked social media accounts and touch base with us that way.
Awesome.
Brando, and one final thing, and if I may, after I let people know, we're also looking for organizations to table. So reach out. If you know an organization that wants to table the day of that can benefit veterans, please reach out. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read the Veterans Creed.
Yeah.
If you would like to close on that.
Go for it.
I am a United States veteran. I became a leader by my willingness to serve my country. I am the visible conscience of a nation with regard to the cost of extremism and freedom's true price. I will not fail to support another veteran or those who cannot defend themselves. He or she may have wounds or hardships that few others would understand. I am the part of the eternal watch of my country and guard it against extremism and tyranny. Honor, courage, and commitment define me to this day. I have been called to serve again. My community and nation have called. I am a steadfast guardian of American ideals, freedoms, and history. I stand my watch and defend democracy. I am the keeper of the rights of those being dismissed, discriminated against, harassed, bullied, and killed. I am an American veteran. I promise to protect the weak and the meek, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy. my watch never ends.
Thank you
I say,
so much.
well,
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And thanks to all of you for being here. You're welcome to come back anytime, and let's just keep putting in the work. I truly appreciate all of you. And thanks to the audience for tuning in. Be there on April 30th in DC. We need more people out there, more people supporting this cause. So again, thank y'all so much for being with me.
Thank you.
I'll add you on my
Thanks,
phone
Brando.
to Tennessee.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Brandon.
Take care.
Thank you so much.